Hi everyone, thanks for tuning into my channel, Huub Hildenbrand Guitar Academia. Today we will dig a little bit deeper into the world of Turkish Maqam. And this will be like now a kind of a series of lessons, of videos, where in each one I will talk about one maqam. And my aim is not so much maybe to give you like the full thing, the whole picture and all the possibilities you can do when you improvise in a certain maqam, when you do like taksim, this improvisation which can really go very far away from the actual note or the actual maqam or actual scale and come back, of course. But so far in the lessons on Turkish Maqam and microtones, we talked about more or less only about the tetra and pentachords of the maqams. So that's actually the basis. I mean, to have these tetra and pentachords, because everything else, every other maqam, every other scale, every other melodic syncing comes from actually like combining these tetra and pentachords. In a way, these tetra and pentachords function in many different ways, and I just explained or gave you just the pure tetra and pentachords, that you really understand these small like building blocks of Turkish Maqam music. And these building blocks, as the name already says, is just like these 4 or 5 scale-wise. I mean, excerpts of a scale, like 4 notes or 5 notes. Sometimes also a leading tone is added. But mainly it's really these tetra and pentachords. And we can say, okay, today we're talking about Rast, about the maqam Rast. And there is a Rast tetra and the Rast pentachord. These both are actually just the same, only that for the pentachord we add the perfect fifths to the tetrachord. So it's actually just the same notes. It's Rast. It's Rast tetra or Rast pentachord. And why we use actually sometimes tetra and pentachord is because how the different tetra and pentachords are stacked up or arranged, and which notes are actually more important. This is the 4th or the 5th note of the Rast tetra or pentachord. So this kind of a thing. But it's you will understand that. Don't be too theoretical now. I thought a good idea would be to take all these basic tetra and pentachords, which there are, like Rast, Hüseyni, Hijaz, also these other ones like Sabah, Hüsam, and Sega, and Nishabur, and these different Nikris, these different like basic tetra and pentachords, and take a look from a more like practical perspective. So by just having this tetra and pentachord, we only know sort of like these 4 or 5 notes. But mostly when these tetra and pentachords are used, they really directly open the door to like the whole like maqam. Like a Rast, if you have a certain kind of maqam, and in this maqam, in this progression of the different penta and tetrachords, you suddenly come to a Rast tetra or pentachord. This will immediately open the door also for the whole like 8 note or 7 note scale of Rast. And that's really the idea of this series now, is to look at the maqams, which are named after the tetra or pentachord, so Rast in this case, and we will look at the like the more fundamental things of that maqam Rast. So it will say actually what we will learn from that, what we get from this is that once we have just this tetra and pentachord, we also know what this tetra and pentachord usually is doing, or in which context it usually functions. And also, when we talk about these individual like maqams, we also want to make clear or sure that we understand what these maqams are like, basically how they are behaving. So what they are normally doing. Yeah. So what notes are important? On which notes they are traditionally built, like Yerinde, what is their place, and what is their seir and this Jenislem, how they are extended up and down, and to get a more complete idea about these maqams. It's not about, as I said, I'm not really teaching it's not it's not my goal actually to teach you like maqam music, that you're really like an expert in maqam music, and then you can go to Turkey and play their concert with like perfect maqam, this Turkish classical music. No, actually, I'm also not really able to do that. I'm just taking that music and that idea of microtones and certain elements and kind of ideas, concepts, to apply them for my own music. So actually, I'm quite busy in connecting like Western harmony with maqam music and intonation and so on. And it's very connected actually. Yeah, it's really very, very connected. And that's a cool thing actually. Also in maqam music you have this progression of temporary roots. Yeah, it's like chord progressions in Western music. Whereas in Indian music you have more, you stick to one scale, and your root in a way stays the whole time the same. Although there are things happening, of course, on a more subtle layer or whatever. But yeah, let's do not go too far out here. So the idea is to give you a kind of a picture, a kind of things at hand where you that you learn, and you know what these, if you take these basic tetra and pentachords and you think about them as a maqam, as a full scale, so to speak, then to learn that and to know what this maqam is usually doing, how it's constructed, and if you exceed the limit of this tetra and pentachord, what normally comes after that. So how this tetra pentachord is normally progressing. If you just take, for example, today Rast, how it goes on, how it will be a scale, because that's actually quite interesting, of course, for us, because in Western music you think about scales, and just having a tetra and pentachord automatically gets you will this question comes up immediately. Yeah, so how does it proceed further? It's just 4 notes. So okay, so we will in this series we will talk about every maqam, which has its name, also the same name of the existing tetra or pentachord, and we will have for each maqam we will have a kind of a short or longer sometimes lesson. And there's also a PDF which you should download. This is just follow the link in the description below. There you can download that. This would be actually really cool. Also, you see this whole notation of the Maqam, and also when you go on with that, it's good to have this sheet somewhere to just referring to that. But it's of course also like a support of this channel that this whole thing can go on. Yeah, so would be really cool. Thanks. Okay, a lot of talking. So Rast, I have this also in front of me, so I also look at that and that I don't forget anything here also. Yerinde G, that means that normally, like it's, you say like Yerinde means like its place, it's there where this Maqam or this tetra or pentachord is originally built on. When we talked about this Turkish tonal system, this system of dividing the octave into 53 equal parts, we also said that for the Turkish, for the practical, the notes which are practically used for this Turkish classical music is just a selection of 24 of these 53 pitches or microtones, and so we use just 24, and these 24 are not quarter tones. You might think, oh, 24, it's just double 12. No, it's actually 24, and it's a not equal division of the octave at the end. Yeah, so the 53 is an equal division, but we take like different notes out of that total 24 notes, and these are, when you look at them, they're not spaced equally, but the foundation, of course, is this equally spaced 53 microtones. And so, because it's not equally spaced, this you can't just transpose anything as you want. Yeah, that's a very important thing to know. It's not possible to take every scale degree and build, like, for example, Rast on every scale degree. It's not possible, because sometimes you just miss the notes. Yeah? The tonal system would actually give you all the notes, but in practical use, they are not all notes. And especially when you look at, for example, at the tambur, for example, then you have a kind of a balama, a kind of a this long-necked lute with the frets, and you see that you have also in one lesson I had a graph of that, a diagram of the different frets on the tambur, and you see that they're not equally spaced. And if you would equally space them into this tonal system of 53, I mean, there would be like so many frets, and this would be not usable. So actually, since it's not, everything is not like transposable into any other note, there's a kind of origin. For, in this case, like Rast is built on G. I think it's also the note name is Rast. Maybe I'm wrong. It's just every note has a name, and of course I know them, but I'm not really not really sure sometimes which notes are this in the Western system. But I think Rast is really like really like the note Rast is really like the G. I have to look it up. Otherwise, I will put it in the description below that it was wrong and give you the right answers to that. Okay, so you build this tetrachord on the note G, or this pentachord on the note G, and also the Maqam on the note G. It fits perfectly into these 24 notes of practical use, of course. And of course, you can transpose it to many other notes. You have enough notes there where that you also can play Rast on different degrees in this tonal system of Turkish classical music. But with all tetra and pentachords, you have one original place, and you say yerinde. That means its place, on its place. So when you say like yerinde Rast, then it means it's a Rast, tetra, penta, or Maqam, tetra, pentachord or Maqam, on G, on its place. Yeah. So this is quite interesting then when you put all these different other tetra, pentachords and Maqams together, and you see. You can compare that, and you can really see, okay, yerinde Rast is like same notes as yerinde Ushak from A. So it's the same notes, and this kind of a thing. Then you really see all these connections, how these different tetra and pentachords really work together or overlap like the same notes. And okay. So how is Rast going? What are the notes of the Rast Maqam? Rast equals our major scale. That's actually if you ignore all these microtones, it's just the major scale. We take Rast from E because we are guitarists and we want to have this bass here, the root, always there. When we in the first course, in the first lessons on this Maqam, also you have all these tuning tones, which are all starting from E. So you can also refer to that and get these tuning tones that you actually like can practice these microtones. With these tuning tones, and the tuning tones are generated these tuning tones accordingly to the E as a root. So that's actually like this the basis. This is the note which is like the intonation is exactly as our Western system, tonal system. And then from that we can build all these scales, microtonal things, Maqams, tetra and pentachords, and we can compare them. So that's also the idea to get everything to the root of E, to start there. Okay, so it's E Rast is actually like the E major scale. So you have, basically it's that. Also having this leading tone. The tonic is called karar. It's the tonic, the root of the Maqam. And the leading tone is yedden. Yeah, it's a leading tone, yedden, going to the karar. And we have a Rast pentachord. Let me first do that without microtones. Rast pentachord means major pentachord, actually. Yeah? So we have like E, F sharp, G sharp, A, B. And from B, we have another Rast, or let's say now like a major tetrachord, happening from B. So it's like B, C sharp, D sharp, E. Yeah? So we have like whole step, half step, and from E the same, whole step, half step, and another whole step to have this perfect fifth. So you see that the basis, the basic structure, the basic skeleton is this. Yeah. So by stacking up a pentachord and a tetrachord, yeah, and have like the top note of the pentachord is the first note. starting note of the tetrachord, you end up, when these are perfect intervals, like a perfect fifth and a perfect fourth, you end up with the octave, and at the same time you defined a note inside the octave, either the perfect fifths or the perfect fourths in other Maqam scales constructions. You define as güçlü, and güçlü means dominant note, and in this case you would think, oh sure, it's a dominant, it's the fifth degree. No, actually the güçlü can be the third degree, can be the fourth degree, can be the fifth degree, whatever. Don't think about güçlü as the fifth degree, the dominant. It just means the translation is dominant. It's a dominant tone, but more in the sense that it's really like prominent, very strong. And mostly with a güçlü, you always show this note. You always go to this note, and not just to this note, but to the tetra or pentachord, what is built on that note. So if we would now in this Rast Maqam, we would now always go also to B like major. Yeah? And then we go to the karar. Yeah, so it's a kind of also like a kind of like two forces. It's like the resolution, the karar, basic pentachord, and we have a kind of a counter force there. It's like it's like on a different plateau, which has of course more tension and which is just temporary. That's also why you say it's also sort of karar, but you say it's like an asmar karar. That means it's just temporary. It's just for some time. We take this as our root, and then we progress further to the real karar to really finish end our Maqam. All right. Now, if we look at that, at this Maqam, this scale or these tetra and pentachords closer, then we see actually it's very, very much connected with our major scale in just intonation, meaning that we actually have more a kind of a like more a kind of a major third, which is more like in the harmonic series, yeah, which is like a pure major third. But of course, in Turkish Maqam music, we really like to even play this make a little bit lower intonation, so that it's more like, yeah. So it has some really, it's very expressive also. It's not. This kind of pure major third, like really harmonic series, but a bit lower. And the same we do there's this major seventh of the scale, which is also the major third of our B, yeah, the güçlü, the other tetrachord here. It's actually both. It's the same. Yeah, we use a major third, which is lower, and we use here a major seventh, which is also lower. So that this interval, and that's hard to play together, this G sharp and D sharp, they also form really a perfect fifth. I mean, in just intonation. So that's actually what's also happening here. That's why they sound so good together, even if you just play linear. So this is actually the scale. So we have like a Rast. Rast means major scale, major tetrachord, major pentachord, but the major third is lowered a bit. And when we talk about the whole scale of Rast, also the major seventh is lowered a bit, the same bit. And this also is identical with the idea of having also Rast on the fifth degree. Because Rast on the fifth degree means I have this note a bit lower. Yeah, it's the same. It's actually just transposed, you can say. It's just from E Rast and from B Rast equals a major scale with a lowered third and a lowered major seventh. So that's it, actually. And the seir, what is like the how you move through the maqam, and especially what's your main area. So are you more working around the karar, or around the octave, or maybe more about around the güçlü, around the middle kind of area. In this case, this maqam really likes the lower area around the karar. So it starts there. When you play with that, when you have taksim, or when you improvise or compose, and then it moves up and really likes to go down again, to rest here, and also it likes more the lower notes, so it likes more to also go sometimes to the lower extension. An extension is a genisleme or genisleme. I do not really know how to speak it right. It's so long ago, actually. These lessons I had from Nuri Karademili, this great oud master who passed away, sadly. But I think it's, let's say, genisleme. And this means like extension, like how you go below and above this basic scale. So below the karar and above the octave. And in Rast you take like a symmetric genisleme. That means symmetric means you just go on like. It's just you just play the whole thing an octave higher or an octave lower. So when I have the Rast pentachord here, I also, when I want to go higher above the E here, I also have this. And B Rast. Also repeats here repeats below the root here, below the karar. So it extends this octave also down, below this octave. Yeah. And so this is now really, this is important. Yeah, what we talked about. We talked about the intonation, about the structure, how it's built, which penta and tetrachords are stacked in what way, and now let's just talk briefly about the different what Rast is also doing. When you say I play you a short improvisation in Rast, so what you normally also in a way have to show, yeah, for this completeness that is really Rast. I think what I just showed you, and it's actually kind of enough to say, okay, yeah, that's Rast, of course. I mean, what other Maqam can it be? But there are some things which this Maqam is really doing a lot, and that is, for example, one thing is showing buselik on B. So not but yeah. And the way it's normally done is in the ascent you show Rast, and in the descent you show buselik. So you can just play this very directly. You can go to yeah. So I played some Rast. Yeah, and then I showed the D, and buselik is just minor. Yeah, we talked about that, so I didn't mention that again. Also, I guess when you did not really check out the lessons before, like these basic things you should know actually, then you will not really get this lesson so well. So I mean, it will be maybe really confusing, but I explained everything in the past lessons. Okay, so buselik is just minor, yeah, and you show this. And then two other things you show is one is like ferachnak, and ferachnak is actually just the same thing as Rast, with one time with Rast tetrachord and buselik tetrachord from B, but your karar of ferachnak is the G sharp. And then you have the Rast tetrachord from B. So it's like and that is called tam ferachnak. That means tam means like perfect. You have like a tam beshli means you have a perfect fifth. So from the G sharp, which is a bit lower, to the D sharp, which is a bit lower, that's a perfect fifth. And then you also have ekshik ferachnak. That means you have an ekshik, a diminished fifth. And this diminished fifth is going to from G sharp again, but then to D. Yeah, and when you are in ferachnak, you use both of these versions, and this is like absolutely connected with the Maqam Rast, because you just take the third of the scale, the G sharp, which is a bit lowered, as you knew, like asmar karar or temporary root, and then all the other notes stay the same, and then you have automatically, if you always approach this G sharp, you have ferachnak, with one little exception, and this little exception is actually ferachnak has its own leading tone, and this leading tone is a G. So it's like, has this augmented augmented second here. Yeah, so that's this leading tone, like a half step below the karar of Ferachnak. This is out of the key, you can say. It's out of E major. But on the other hand, it's a leading tone to the G sharp. And the G sharp is, when we compare this with Western harmony, it's like our major third. Which is a very important note. So in a way, we have a strong emphasis now on the root, on the G sharp, which is our major third, of course a bit lower, and our fifth, which is the root of another like Rast, and which is really our basic skeleton, our basic core pillars of like tonal framework 2 in this case. So octave and the fifth in the middle to support the whole building. Another thing, it's also written down on this PDF. Another thing to mention is Sega. Sega is actually, we can just copy and paste everything we just said about Ferachnak and say, instead of Ferachnak, we say Sega, but Sega has just one little microtonal difference, and that's the C sharp. The C sharp is also a bit lower. So it's like Sega would be... and then also a lowered major, major seventh of D, but a lowered D sharp. So these notes are lowered. That's a bit tricky to play on the guitar. Take one and then the other again, like. Yeah, it's a bit tricky. Would be easier to tune the B string a bit lower than and just play these two notes on the B string. So, something like that. It's a nice... It makes things really easy to detune your instrument for certain notes, but of course then you're completely limited with everything else. So I'm never doing that. There was a time when I was experimenting a little bit with that technique, but now not anymore, because like as soon as you change to something a bit different, then you can't play it anymore. So I just wanted to show you. Okay, the interesting thing, and also you have this Ekshik Sega version where you have, instead of the D sharp, the D. We will also talk about Sega, so I do not want to go too deep to make it like a huge, a big long lesson here. I want to keep it a bit more simple and don't repeat myself too much. Interesting, but very interesting actually. When you take Sega, with like Tom Beshley, like perfect fifth from the lowered G sharp, like where it normally is, and also when you say like Yerinde, remember we talked about Yerinde Rast. Yerinde Rast is like G, so original is on G, its place, and Sega is Yerinde is on this a little bit lowered B. So they are really like they are really connected, very much connected. And Sega, if you think Sega, that's also something really interesting. I figured out that it's really connected to the just intonation of the major scale. And by just intonation, I mean the concept of having the 3 major chords in the major tonality: E major, A major, B major, E major. So the main functions, tonic, subdominant, dominant. And you tune every major chord, every of these 3 major chords, to the harmonic series. So pure, have pure thirds. So you lower every third a bit. The G sharp, the G sharp, the C sharp, and the D sharp. And when you do that, you actually really have this Rast and this Sega thing. Yeah. So because Sega is the lowered C sharp. So from if you sing from A, oops. And then Sega is also the lowered D sharp, and of course the Karar of Sega, the lowered G sharp. So G sharp, C sharp, and D sharp are all lowered, and the main and most important thing in note in Sega is the G sharp and also the B, which is also like a Gütschl. Yeah, in this case, if you have G sharp Sega, like the B is very important. So it's really very, very much connected to the major scale in Western music, but of course in the time of like Baroque, where you had like this just intonation. So you have pure major triads on the 1st, 4th, and 5th degree, and that's there you see like really this connection. You go for like Turkish Maqam music, you go into that, you study that, and then you see, oh, what you are studying is actually at the same time it's like the intonation of Baroque in Western music, so Western harmony. So that's interesting. Everything is really very, very much connected. Okay, so that's it for the lesson. I hope you got some cool information for yourself. I hope that it's helpful. I think so. If you really want to go more into this Maqam world of microtones, also, I think this is should be a very interesting lesson now today. And we will go on with the other Maqams. So this will be a longer journey now we are starting. Okay, so that's it for this lesson. Please don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you like these lessons here, and also click the bell to get notifications, because every week I will release a new video here on this channel. And you can also donate. Just go down in the description below. There you find a link to my website. There's a button where you can donate. So on the Guitar Academia site on hoophildenbrand.com, there you find this button. This would be really cool to get more involved here, to support my work here, that the whole process will go on. All right, so thank you very much. Thanks for watching. My name is Hoop Hildenbrand.